Yo, 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 we are back. Welcome back to the Sound Lab, guys. I hope you're all doing well out there. Things are a little crazy right now. I apologize for not uploading a new tutorial last week, but as you all know, we're in the middle of a pandemic. So I wasn't able to record that or upload it last week, but this week we are back, and I've got a special episode of the Sound Lab for you guys. This week I'm going to be showing you how I made a couple of the sounds from my remix of the track SNOWCONE by REI, and if you haven't heard it yet, this is what it sounds like. Alright, so I hope you guys like those sounds in there. Today in the Sound Lab, I'm going to be showing you guys how I made these sounds. So here's what I got in Ableton. The sound is actually made up of a handful of layers here, so I'll be walking you guys through all the layers. One is an audio sample, and then or two are audio samples. So in this first tutorial, I'll be showing you how I made this one in Phase Plant. And then tomorrow, I'll be showing you guys how I made this one in Phase Plant. Alright, let's jump into it. Alright, so to get started here, I'm going to open up Phase Plant. And see we have our patch here. It doesn't sound like much without the post-processing, but when I throw the post-processing on, so it's definitely doing a lot to shape the sound here, and I am using serum effects again on this patch. So let's turn that off, and we're gonna jump back into Phase Plant. Let's initialize the patch. So we don't have a sound yet, and in order to get our sound, we have to click in the generators window and create a wavetable. Now we have a sine wave. Also, guys, I'm playing a C note. My remix I did was in C minor. So I'm going to click Default Wavetable. I'm going to go to my user tables. And in here I have this Cymatics FM Table 2. And you can download that on their website. It's free, I believe. If not, the tables pack is pretty cheap, so just grab that. Or hit me up and I can send you it. As a substitute, and if you want to use strictly Phase Plant wavetables, I found this FM12. One of these was a good substitute, but you can't really hear it right now. For now, I'm going to go back to this one. So the first thing we want to do here is start getting some movement. So I clicked in the modulators window and created an LFO. And before we start drawing in our shape, I'm going to map this to the level by clicking this orange circle and clicking the plus button under level. And that's how you map your LFOs. And then just drag it up. I went to about 75%. 75 is usually the number I go to for the LFO on a level. You can do 100%. 75 is just the number I like. So now that we have the movement, we're going to click this pencil tool and open up the LFO editor. And click Sine. Go to WUBs, and then I chose this limit break preset just to get this starting shape. And then I just deleted these. Drew in a little something like this. And that is the LFO shape I went with here. So without it, and then with. The next thing I did was I took this LFO, I held the mouse, held Option, and then click and drag to copy the LFO. I like to copy LFOs over in case I want to mess with the shape at all, and I don't want to affect the automation for the other LFO. So for this LFO, I mapped it to the frame and turned it up to about 11%. So without this LFO, and then with, and we're not seeing any movement here because I have to move this frame. I apologize, I forgot I moved this frame to 31. And now we can hear the movement a little better. So without, before we didn't have any movement at all. So that was it for the modulators and generators window. Pretty simple sound. Moving on to the effects window. The only effects I added here was a chorus. So click and then add chorus. And then all I did here, similar to how you would in Serum, is turn the delay all the way down. And then I crank the depth. And then I turn the rate all the way down. Yeah, we don't want that. And then this is mixed in a little heavy here, so I just turned the mix down until it was about where I liked it. Which came to about 51%. So without the chorus, and then with. So that's just really adding some harmonics and space to the sound. So that was it for this sound and phase plant. Really simple processing here. I just remade that shape from phase plant, set it to trigger and quarter. Then I turned on this filter and chose the multi high notch 12. Set the cutoff to about 290. And then I map this to the cutoff by clicking and dragging. And then I just set this depth to 11. You may have to go into the matrix and click this type to go both ways. So without the filter, and then with. I also turned this resonancy up to 30%. So this is just cutting out the low end and then cleaning up the sound and giving it more of that tonality that we're looking for. You can also add some pitch bend on this as well. The next effect I added was this compressor. I just turned on multiband and then cranked the gain to 14.3. So no compression. So this is really turning up the sound here. And then for the LFO, make sure you turn on this note latch in order to hear the effect. So let's close Serum Effects. We're done in there. Then I'm gonna open Ableton back up. The next thing I did on this was I threw an EQ on and then just cut everything below 100 Hertz. Get rid of any sub that's hanging out. And then And I threw on this meat rack, which you can download on Google. If you Google, I think it's the NASCO meat rack. That's there, it's free.
Damn, son, where'd you find this?
After that, I turned on some downsampling to just add in the highs back a little bit. So it sounds a little dull, and I think this downsample just brightens it up a little bit. And all I did was go to Redux and grab this down 2.66 preset. That is how I made this sound. The very last thing I added to the sound, and this is totally optional, I couldn't get the LFO shape as clean as I wanted it in Phase Plant. So a thing you can do, and this is a trick I use pretty often, you can throw a utility on, and then right click to automate the gain. And essentially this is doing the same thing as an LFO. And I just made this shape. You hold Option or Alt on PC to create this curve here. And then I just copied it over. And I think that just cleaned it up a little bit more. Got rid of the tail. But like I said, totally optional. So let's unsolo that and listen to this in context. And if I turn off these downsampled basses and the croak bass, I think that sound is still pretty strong on its own. Alright, I hope you guys like that sound. If you want to figure out how I made the rest of this bass from my remix of the song SNOWCONE, make sure you tune back in tomorrow, where I'll be doing part 2 of this tutorial and showing you how I made this croak bass in Phase Plant. Also, make sure you click that subscribe button below so you can stay up to date with new Phase Plant tutorials. Alright guys, peace out.